Good day, fellow boaters, and welcome once again to another episode of Boat Technics. A little bit different today. We're not actually working on a boat. As you can see from the background behind me, we're currently in my workshop. We're coming up to winter period, and it is getting increasingly colder. I know it is because I've just been to the toilet and it's taken me 10 minutes to find me man bits. So with that, today's challenge is we are going to make a space heater of some description. I've seen a few people online do this, and they've made them out of terracotta pots, put a few candles under the pot. Candles obviously resonate heat, pot warms up, radiates heat. Well, we're going to go one further because we have the skills. We've got a few parts lying around the workshop. We're going to see if we can fabricate something that's going to generate a little bit more than just a little clay plot, a little clay pot. There you go. I'll get my words out in a minute. So we're going to have a rummage around. I've got some old flue for an old log burner. Some old pipe, 4.5 inch in diameter. We're going to use that. Going to get ourselves a Dolmio bolognese sauce jar, punch a hole in the lid, bit of copper pipe, and an old wick from a oil lamp burner. And we're going to squeeze all that together, and we're going to see what we can make out of it. And then we'll get the old temperature gun out afterwards and see what sort of heat resonates from the device. So I'm going to turn the workshop heater on first of all, go and have a cup of tea, and then once the workshop's got up to a working temperature, we'll get on. So we have a pipe. It's an old flue pipe off a chimney, off a boat. Obviously wouldn't normally go on a log burner. Got an old Dolmio jam jar. No, what is it? It's a Dolmio bolognese sauce jar. There you go. Obviously with corresponding lid. Now the idea is we're going to find some copper pipe. Oh, convenient. Look at that little sliver of some pipe. We're going to put a wick into this. When I say a wick, I mean some old wick from an oil burner, like an oil lamp. So what we're going to do is we're going to sausage this up. We're going to roll him up. We're going to throw that down there. Cut the pipe, cut the hole in the top of that, put the pipe in there like so. Obviously cut it to length. I'm going to punch a couple of holes in, put it all together, cut a little doorway in here. So this will slide in like so. Probably cut that around there, put a lid on the top. Obviously that is going to be full of really, really flammable liquid, which turns out is this stuff. And if we can see that, biofire. It's odourless, very nice. Not for human consumption. Now I've already opened that and had a little sniff, and if I put that in a bottle of water, you would drink it, because literally has no smells whatsoever, but obviously very, very flammable. Do not drink it. So we're going to fill that into there, put our copper tube in, put our wick on, cut a little doorway, put that all in there, cut that, put a lid on it, punch some holes in the top of the lid, and then, hey presto, we should have something that's going to resonate heat, because obviously this is steel, and it's going to warm up like an absolute champion. I know what you're thinking, well, that's not going to be stable enough. Well, compliments of kitchen, we've got an old frying pan. Obviously, we're going to tack weld, is the idea, the cylinder to this. Let's see if we can get that sorted. So here we are. We've welded our little cap on the top, punched a few holes in, welded it down to our frying pan. Obviously cut the handle of the frying pan off. We're pretty much there as it goes. Obviously we've got our little jar as well. And that's going to secretly slide in down there like so. It's not looking too shabby, is it? For a little bit of a put together lastminute.com. So now let's give it a quick lick of some old stove paint for wood burners, barbecue stoves and anything else that you want painting black that's going to get up to temperature. Great. So there we go. We've pretty much bish bash boshed all of that together fairly quickly, to be honest. It took me half the morning. Obviously it's a little bit crude. It's kind of a prototype. That's what we'll blame the shit result on. Obviously I've painted it just with some of that stove paint, just really to camouflage all the mistakes I've made. And then we're going to put this in now, and we're going to use our trusty little temperature sensor there, and we're going to find out how much or how hot that actually gets. So we've made ourselves a cup of tea just while that was drying off a little bit, and then we're going to throw it in, light it. We've left the fluid in the glass jar for probably about 30 minutes just so the wick can obviously soak up some of the fluid, but it looks quite damp now, as you can see from the top of that. So we're going to light it, throw it in, give it 5-10 minutes, and then we'll get the temperature gun on there and see how hot the actual tube gets. So that's giving off quite a fucking flame. Excuse me. And in the grand scheme of things, I probably should have took that outside and lit it, because I'm a little bit worried that's going to blow up in my face and we're all going to be getting in the vehicle and flying off to hospital. But as it goes, I've suddenly realised that how do I put the fucking thing out now I've started it? Hold that thought. Okay, so like an absolute legend and a trusty pair of good old shear scissors, I've cut the wick down ever so slightly because I thought that is quite large. And ironically, when it goes into our tube, the flame's going to be way up yonder. And we don't really want it to do that. It's kind of a slow burner. We just want it to sit there simmering away while it's in its little comfy house. So now we can slide it in there, just like so. And it all looks very cosy in there, doesn't it? Lovely. Oh, isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? Just in time for Christmas. So we'll leave that running for a moment, and then we'll test it and see how hot the tube gets. Right, well, this thing's been running now for about 10 minutes. And I'm pretty sure there shouldn't be so much yellow flame on that. Now, I'm not entirely sure whether that is due down to the fact that I should punch more holes in the copper pipe to allow more fluid to get onto the wick. I'm not entirely sure, but there's 4 holes in there. There's only 2 you can see, but the other 2 are on the other side of the copper pipe. So there should be adequate amount of flow coming off that wick. Mental note. But that looks a little bit yellow, so there's obviously some carbon being deposited from that yellow flame. So if you were to put that in your living room, for instance, or a confined space, then you are going to poison yourself over time. It's as simple as that, because the gas is coming off there. If you don't ventilate that room every so often and blow some of the carbon out, you would, if you fell asleep in the room, obviously it's a health risk. Mental note. However, using our trusty gun now, let's get on there, let's give it a zap. I mean, what's that? That's 96 degrees. If any Americans are watching this, that's 205 degrees now. Well, Fahrenheit even. And 96, 97. So it's just increasing in temperature. It's 206 Fahrenheit, 97 degrees. And that's after 10 minutes. So that is going to warm up a room fairly bloody quick. And obviously I've punched a couple of holes in the top there, and you can feel the heat coming out of that, as well as that is resonating quite a lot of heat coming off there. So it's not too shabby really, I would say. Fluid for a 1 litre bottle cost me £6. Working on the assumption that this is going to slow burn, the wick's obviously helping the burn, you probably get about 3 days out of that jar, I reckon. So it's going to burn for quite a while, so that's 3 days of constant heat. Come on, work. So what's that on now? That's 105, if you can see that now. So we are... Bloody camera won't sort it out. So yeah, 105 degrees. What's that in Fahrenheit? That's 221 Fahrenheit. So that's a considerable amount of 105. Yeah, look. So that's not a bad little result. I'm quite happy with that. I'm going to throw that in my living room tonight because I'm an absolute moron head. And I just want to see how quick it's going to keep my living room warm, really. I mean, obviously taking a mental note into the fact that there's a yellow flame coming off that, so it is going to be releasing some kind of harmful gases. But I mean, you could stick a carbon monoxide alarm in your room, or carbon dioxide alarm, you know, obviously. So if it started giving off the bells and whistles, then you'd obviously know that it's quite heavily contaminated in gases. But nonetheless, it's been in my workshop now. I've turned off my overheater just to see, and I'm still fairly warm. I mean, I know there's resonating heat from the overheater, but that's been off now for about 30 minutes, and this has been running for about 15. I mean, what we're on now, just left that for another 10 minutes. I mean, look at that. What's that? Can you see that? 116 degrees. 116 degrees Fahrenheit for all you Americans out there, or Europeans, whatever you're bloody using in metric imperial. There you go, 241 Fahrenheit. You could boil a cup of tea on that. Lovely. I'm quite happy with that. Like I say, I'll do another little tester on it, stick it in the living room a bit later on. And the other reason why I've put it in the frying pan, which you probably all thought I was mental for doing so, but the reason why is if you do knock it over, the frying pan is going to catch the liquid that's in the jar, and you've controlled the environment that the fluid is in. So it would obviously just sit in the fry pan and smoke away on its own. It wouldn't go all over your carpet or fall out of a terracotta tray, you know. It's or if you've mounted it next to wood, you know, it's all contained within itself. So I mean, obviously then you could put it somewhere safe and put a cage around it if you had animals or whatever. But there are actually products out there on the market from biofuels. There you go. They're not sponsoring this video by any means, but I've done my research, and you can actually get them like in a trough, like in a grate. Research it if you want. I would put the link in the description below, but I really can't be fucked. So that's pretty much what I've been doing today. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Something a little bit different, something a little bit quirky. I might do a little follow-up video on this once I put it in my living room and see what sort of temperature the room gets up to just by running. So, hey presto.